Simon says it. Kanpai.
Sensei, kanpai.
This whole idea of beer questions over beer as it began out the window. You're drinking prosecco, and I'm drinking red wine.
Well, there you go. We seem to be on the. This is official, comrade. HDKI is a bourgeois running dog capitalist organisation. We need a purge.
What would your dad say, hey?
My dad would be appalled. Like, you become the dear leader, I'm the elderly buffoon.
So,
right, are you ready?
I'm ready. Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Recently, you told me of an incident where somebody said to you, "You don't look like a karate instructor," which is interesting. So my question to you is, what does a karate instructor look like?
Yeah, well,
supplementary question: do you wear your karate on the outside?
Oh God.
Superficiality and depth.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll keep it as vague as possible. But yeah, I was turned away from not a nightclub, not a bar, not a shop, but an entire country.
Yeah.
Because I don't look like an karate instructor, and so therefore had no reason to be.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's just very strange. You know, when you told me, I just thought, what?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we'll keep it as vague as that, but yeah, like some guy with a big gun decided that like the reason why I was wanting to enter the country was not only ludicrous, but the very fact of my appearance made it even more unbelievable.
The caveat you added there is a guy with a big gun is always right.
Yeah, and I experienced it in America once when I've got global entry for America, which means that I kind of like just kind of go through immigration very quickly, and but like to do that you have to have an interview, and so I went to the passport office or immigration in Detroit. In Detroit, they have a bridge going over to Canada. And so at the immigration part there, at the American end of the bridge, I had to go for this interview, and this very officious man who had a big gun was asking me questions. He says, "Where's your I-90?" I remember saying, "Where's your I-90?" And I got that close to going, was that the road that I came on? Not too sure. Well, like I kept, but like he had this very big gun, and like most people in Europe who are kind of really pernickety and officious, they don't have guns, but in America they do. And the guy that I met last week also had a gun. And so yeah, do I look like is that what was the question? Do I look like a karate instructor? Well, what do karate instructors look like? Yeah, of course they do.
Yeah. I mean, I tell you what, what I always thought about, because I always wanted to. My image of karate instructors like was a Noida sensei or Kanazawa sensei, you know, the sort of guys, and then Terry O'Neill was my ultimate sensei, and then I met Steve Cattle, who did not look like a karate instructor at all.
Yeah,
but much was a karate instructor.
Yeah, I think there is this, like, for obviously this guy didn't know what he was talking about, and like that's kind of.
I'm trying to think. What was he trying to think? I mean, was he being racist, or was he being, you know, what in the popular perception of people, what does a karate instructor look like?
Yeah, and like first and foremost, like he didn't believe that you could be professional at karate, and so therefore I could only enter the country if I was working, and karate isn't a job. Therefore, no matter what you say from this point onwards, you can't enter this country because you can't earn a living from karate. And when I said, but that's what I do, that's what I've always done, I've never done anything else, well, then you don't look like a karate instructor. I mean, he was just kind of defending a ridiculous point, albeit with a big gun and the ability to send me on the next flight home, which he did. But I think, yeah, who cares what he was thinking? Like, I guess maybe some Japanese or like some Arnold Schwarzenegger, Bruce, I don't know. Whatever he was thinking of it, of course, I didn't fit it. But to answer your question, though, I think you can tell there is a sense of how someone holds themselves. Like, if the epitome of a karate instructor is like Steve Ubel Sensei, you know, who walks through life both physically and metaphorically, like with this kind of ramrod straight back, or like complete control of his center, and also kind of that elegance of walking with that kind of posture. I think that's what a karate instructor looks like.
Yeah, I think that's how you move.
Yeah.
That's probably a really good indication of it, and that fits all the whole gamut of human shapes, sizes, doesn't it? And maybe I think the old-fashioned British way of saying is how a man carries himself, or how a person carries himself. Yeah, I think, because I'm just going back to what Rick Jackson was saying, like, you should wear your karate on the outside.
Yeah.
When we know that class we did with him was like a really difficult class. We did a class with Rick Jackson Sensei on Wednesday, and he was talking about being on inside and outside. And I always think of meditation as, going inward, reflecting inward and stuff. Yeah. So I find it very interesting and challenging to take it outward. Yeah. And often, like we'll say, karate is an inner journey to blah, 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 blah. And I'm fascinated by the idea of making it an outward journey. But then there's also that pomposity of some people, people have that swagger. People that, I do karate, or I do, that sort of, we call it a jock in America, wouldn't we? That's sport person. Look, the karate instructors or karate cat shouldn't have that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I thought that meditation session was fascinating and insightful as always, but like you say, really, really difficult. And that whole thing about kind of just turning on his head and saying, everything is on the outside. Like what was he saying? Buddha says that like enlightenment is on the tip of your nose. It's just on the outside. It's right there.
We go for that. It's in you. You got to go down deep inside yourself. Yeah. And I really like this idea of it being outside.
Yeah. And what I found really interesting was that, and it goes to like that outside thing. What he was saying was that everything on the inside is a construct. And reality only exists on the outside. And reality is not a collection of certain elements, because all those elements are constructs within yourself. And only reality is occurrence, the being, the ing of the doing. So you don't have, like he says, what cuts? Well, cuts cut, yeah, like that whole Buddhist.
Tigerish.
Yeah. And what I thought was fascinating when he was saying that like, you might think that you need the blade to cut, and you might need the hand to the arm, the body, you might need the target, you might all need all these elements, but they're all construct. It's the occurrence of the event, the totality of it, that is reality, not the individual elements of that, which is a construct that we kind of create that narrative or that kind of mind map of reality. And I thought that was really, really fascinating.
And to continue back to karate again, it's like wearing it on the outside, like almost like, because you get that great line, he goes, after I finish meditation tonight, I'm going to go and play, what was he going? He's going to play new game.
Assassin's Creed.
It's Creed, because I'm a Viking.
Yeah.
And he's going to I'm going to give me mind a rest. Yeah. And he did exactly. He said, and he said, some of you are going to go back and think about this and make notes and stuff. And that's exactly what I did. And he was playing Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
And I found that really interesting as well. That, maybe take things seriously but wear them lightly.
Yeah.
I think I've learned something from that, really. Because sometimes you get all consumed by it and take everything inside and churns around in here. Maybe let it go, just do it. Just do it.
Yeah. It was a really difficult one, I think.
Yeah, I love great. It was. I mean, I had a little light bulb went off with me when he talked about it on the outside. I don't fully understand it, but there's a little, a little glimmer of Kensho or something was there. Yeah. And I'm definitely going to pursue that more.
And also just the whole thing about kind of like referring back to karate about, like, especially in Shotokan, right? We internalize it so much, and we analyze it, and we talk about, well, feeling this and feeling that, like I do. We all do it, right? And have the feeling, oh, blah blah blah, I'm doing this, that, and the other. But like, actually, it just is. I think like that over analytical approach to stuff is sometimes a little bit kind of limiting. I remember we had a friend of the family once, and she was lovely. We had a friend of the family, and she was lovely, but she was a holistic medical practitioner. So she practiced. She started with. She was actually a parasitologist at Cambridge University. Very, very clever lady. Taught at Cambridge. And then one day went, you know what? This is all BS. This is not what I want to do. Like pure science, blah blah blah. And she left Cambridge, left a very good job, moved to North Yorkshire, started as a therapeutic master. Went from that to doing Reiki and like she ended up being all like very witch-like, but she was a great healer. I have to say she was a great healer. If you want to believe in that or not believe that, I believe in it. She was a great healer, and she did really good stuff for me when I was physically struggling quite a lot. But I remember she came around for dinner once, and like she had dinner. My mum and dad were there, me and my brother maybe, and I remember all night, her and my mum and dad were talking about life and how to enjoy life and what's the best thing to do with life and how to get the most of life. And I sat there having probably cider at the time, having quite a few glasses of cider going, this is boring. This is boring. How about we just have a party? How about we just have dinner, have a few drinks, have a few jokes and enjoy life? Yeah. That's what we should do. And so that always strikes me as like it struck me at the time, and I kind of always remember it. And it is a bit like what we do in Shotgun quite a lot, which is spend too much time kind of analysing and talking about it and saying, well, heel, ball of foot, blah, blah, all that kind of rubbish, as opposed to just kind of, I don't know, hitting things, hitting people.
Well, training, probably doing it. I mean, you know, I'm a great believer in you are what you do.
Yeah.
Jean-Paul Sartre, you know, to be is to do. So I kind of think if a karate instructor looks like anything, they look like someone who's done a lot of karate.
Yeah.
Or hopefully with different degrees of talent and stuff, move that way.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting way. Because, you know, in our time, we've known lots of people who've been like a typical, stereotypical karate instructor and people complete opposites. And I'm always quite interested where people fit in. You know?
Yeah.
Because Mario Higawano is like the perfect karate instructor because he's a tiny little bloke, but he's got huge hands and like horrible knuckles. But you know, but he's with a big smile on his face.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like, wow, he's kind of like he is karate.
Yeah.
And I find that maybe like Steve Ubel is, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh well. Okay, so should I've got a question. Should we move on?
Yeah.
So I was listening to a podcast today, which had Sir Ken Robinson, who is he's from Liverpool.
Yeah,
and he's professor of education at UCLA in California. He's a really good guy. He's written a few books, The Element and the Finding the Elements, stuff like that. And about education, he's the one who says, you know, don't ask how intelligent you are, ask how are you intelligent. Everyone is a genius, have different levels of different ways of being intelligent. Some people like Wayne Rooney, off the scale kind of physical intelligence. You know, he gets the ball just over the 50-yard line, kicks it, it curves through the air, straight to the goal, and you say, oh, that was amazing. How did you do that? Oh, I don't know. I just kicked it, you know. So and the thing about Ken Robinson is he's hilarious. He's incredibly funny, and so he's always great to watch and listen to. But what he was saying, one of the things he was saying today, which I thought was interesting, was that often we talk about, you know, our passion. What is our passion? He was talking about how do you find that passion, and so I want to talk about that a little bit. But one of the things he said was that the original meaning of passion was pain. And so the passion of Christ was the going through the pain of the crown and the cross and the blah, blah, blah. And so that's the passion of Christ. And now we kind of almost exclusively use it for, you know, what we all know as passion, something that we love. But there is that kind of element of pain associated to it. So, Simon Sensei, what is your passion?
My passion? Training, I suppose. That's a very good question. Hard question. All my life, since I've been, since I discovered Kung Fu, always enjoyed training. So I like cycling a lot. I mean, as soon as you mentioned that, I was talking about passion. You know, like I love the Tour de France, or there's a mountain called Mont Ventoux, which is like extinct on Caleb, where a guy called a British cyclist died on it. Tommy Simpson died on it. And it's a lot of British cyclists do a pilgrimage, and I'd like to do it. And you climb this ridiculously high mountain and you come down again. Yeah. So I think it's like we talked about pilgrimages before and stuff. I cycled to Barcelona once, and I've been over the Alps and Pyrenees and stuff. I like physical challenges. So I think maybe, my main passion in life for a long time was comedy. Yeah. You know, that was my biggest passion. I mean, I decided when I was 20, I was at university, I was going to be a comedian. And did become a comedian. And I'm not really sure how I did that. I mean, Ken Robinson talks about a girl who was good at dancing. You remember that one? There's a girl who was really good at dancing, and this is in the 1960s, and she was bad at everything else. And he went to see her, and he was waiting for the interview to start, and he looked out the window, and she was skipping around the sort of yard innocently, dancing. And he came in, he talked to her, he said, "Do some dancing for me." She did some dancing, and Ken Robinson said, "You should be a dancer." And then, as in Ken Robinson's stories, she did become a dancer. Yeah. Alan Watts, What Makes You Itch? Have you seen that one?
No.
What makes you itch? And it's a bit like, find something that's your passion and then make it your life. And I suppose, I made comedy my life for 25 years. And funnily enough, now, after being something I've done for 40 odd years, karate's become much more part of my life. So that's one of my passions. Yeah. But the other one is, I like working in education now, and so I've got, today I was working with I've got some people now I work with, and that is a tremendous passion for me as well. Yeah. So I think I never wanted to just be a karate person, I suppose. I always remember someone else taught my Higuana sense. He was lovely, and they said, well, he's hard working. If you go to a restaurant with him, all he's going to talk about is karate. And I've got a new lad I work with at the moment, and all he'll talk about is Bugatti Chirons and Lamborghinis.
Oh, really?
So, sir, what do you like best? And would you rather have a Lamborghini or a Bugatti Chiron? And and so he's autistic, very autistic. Yeah. So he's totally passionate about that. It's very hard to steer him away. Yeah. So again, it's a hard question though.
The other thing about comedy though, just talk about the passion in the sense that passion has to be painful. Like with comedy, either you kill the audience or you die.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, I died on my arse. I mean, the story about comedy is the first one I ever did at Manchester University. I organised it. And I basically emceed it, and it went great. And next night we did exactly the same show, and I died on my arse. And I think if the first one hadn't gone good, it would have been, I might never have done it again. Yeah. And with karate was, because I suppose it's a karate podcast, I saw Kung Fu and Bruce Lee, and I had a passion to change myself. And that was very painful. So I went to the world of of hard physical training, like 1970s stupid bunny hops. Even actually getting punched in the stomach, blah, 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 blah. And that was like a real sort of physical, passionate, painful journey. But I did literally change myself. So that was a huge passion. And like you said, there was no fun in that. Yeah. The fun was it was when it was over, because there was no water breaks. I always remember no water breaks. At the end, we used to go to the sink in the church, put your mouth, even though we didn't have water bottles in the place, and you used to fill your mouth up with water. Yeah. And so that was, I suppose, that's my other passion. And the thing I'm sort of proud of, I'm still doing it. Yeah.
I think it's all that whole terminology, right? So like the reason why I mentioned comedy, either you die on stage or you kill them. You're using that terminology of pain and death, right? And I think in many ways, the pleasure in karate is always cathartic. It's never during, it's always afterwards. Well, thank God that's over. Thank God I've managed to do that. Or, so it's always kind of cathartic. And I think one of the things that finding that element or finding that passion within your life is about kind of being on that quest rather than a kind of a journey. Like we often talk about kind of karate being a journey. And I think that's fine. But actually, I think in many ways it's much more of a quest, because a quest is
Quest
much
is a good
more,
word.
yeah, it's much more kind of ambiguous. You don't you there's no real end destination, and also it's uncertain. Whereas a journey is like, I'm going to start here, I'm going to finish there, and that's the route I'm going to take. And of course, you know, it's all metaphor anyway, so nothing's really exact. But I think within a quest, there are passions, in the sense there are painful moments, and there are kind of stumbling bits, stumbling blocks, and all that kind of stuff. And there is cathartic pleasure from it, and also really it's the taking part in the quest.
Well, there's no end.
Yeah, and there's no end.
We found the Holy Grail.
Yeah,
it's an empty victory. You can't, you know, you people seek enlightenment, people seek nirvana and stuff. There's no end to it.
yeah,
Like, I'm sure you and me, I never at all crossed my mind when I got showdown, I'd pack in.
yeah,
Like lots of people do. I never said, oh, that's it then, got me showdown. That's the end of that then.
yeah,
You know, I remember getting my Sandown, the KGB book was full.
yeah.
You know, I didn't think my work is done. But I mean, I'm sure you have. I've had how many students now? At least 2 students who've got to showdown and given up.
Yeah,
You know, and I think that's kind of fairly standard. And maybe it might be the sort of, I mean, my daughter went for swimming lessons and she got to swim 1,000 meters. She did all these badges.
yeah.
And when she did 1,000 meters, she said, you know what, Dad, I don't want to do it anymore. And I thought, great, you know, you're really good swimmer.
Yeah,
Life skill, you know.
yeah,
And it is, you look down.
yeah. I mean, I see some instructors who get a bit kind of, you know, pissed off when their students quit a showdown. I never really do. I don't know how you feel about it, but for me, it's just like, well, they'll take that forever with them. And I'm not one of these instructors saying, well, they're no longer black belts. No, they'll always be a black belt. It's something that they've achieved in their life, and they will hold that with them. And only the instructor can then make that negative by saying, oh, no, you no longer deserve that, or blah, blah, blah. No, on that day, at that time, they proved their point that they had achieved that, and they'll have that for the rest of their lives. And I always wish them well and say, you know, never forget what you learned here, and take that with you in a positive way. And that's part of their journey, or their quest, or whatever you want to put it. But like, yeah, I think it's super important to see that for us, our quest journey has been forever embroiled or involved in karate. And some others, they dip in and then they go out, but they're all on their own unique little path, yeah?
Yeah, well, I totally agree with that. I mean, this is like when I was younger. You know, when I had a club in London for a short time in the 90s. But yeah, I mean, but I think it's a disappointment because they're not in the dojo anymore.
Yeah.
But I totally get it. You know, it's a bit, I don't know, I've got O-level geography. I can't remember any geography, but, you know,
Yeah.
I've got it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was I say then now? I suppose it's the unending bit, really, and not really knowing why I do it, other than, like, I love it.
Yeah.
And again, that comes to passion, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, why? Because you wouldn't really. Yeah, it's not a hobby. It's beyond a hobby.
Mm.
You know, I think, because it's not like stamp collecting.
Yeah.
But yeah, and more often, a lot of people who go to the gym stop going to the gym, don't they? There's a guy in my village who I got on Richard, who's a really nice guy in my village, and he looks through the window every now and again. He brought his grandson to train with me, and he's just a bit older than me. Big guy, really big guy, and he stopped now. He goes, I haven't been in the gym now for 2 years. And I go, why? You loved it.
Yeah.
And I think, and I keep on saying go back. He goes, I can't go back. You know, and I think maybe because, I don't know why, but we're not going to do that, are we?
Absolutely not. No. Yeah. And I think all that kind of stuff is habitual, you know, habit forming, and so like habits take 6 weeks to make and 6 weeks to break.
Actually, I've just remembered something now. It makes me feel good.
Yeah.
I've got a joke with my daughter Phoebe every now and again. Like, I go to the dojo, go to the gym, and I message her and go, you know, I was feeling terrible today, and I don't know. I ran for an hour. I did a Zoom class or a train. I went to the dojo, and I feel great.
Yeah.
But the last class before lockdown, I trudged down to my dojo, feeling really dejected that there'd be no one there. And of course, there was loads of people there.
Yeah.
And we did the class, and I was just felt absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
But it did involve me having to train, think of a class, and put the effort in.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's called being alive, doing stuff.
Say again.
I think it's called being alive and do stuff.
Yeah.
You could always do something. So I know someone recently who's quite unwell, and I've been encouraging her to do stuff. You know, I encouraged her to do the Rick's thing, and she didn't do it. And it's a bit like, come on, you can, you know, do something. You can certainly sit and listen to Rick.
Yeah.
Rather than be, you know. So
yeah,
it's a hard question. So you know, what's your passion?
Well, yeah, obviously karate, isn't it? And I think it.
Yeah, but it's more than that. We're both more than that, aren't we?
Yeah, I think like it's like karate is just the vehicle, though, isn't it? Really, karate is one of those tools that I use, that you use, to kind of push ourselves forward. Say again?
To travel through life.
Yeah, and so for me, it's like I'm trying to constantly discover, refine, kind of investigate different things that I'm interested in, and some of those things are physical, and some of those things are non-physical, and karate really kind of opens the doors for a huge amount of possibilities.
Yeah, I mean, I just remember the Agemi Sensei, who I really like. You know, in his book Beyond Karate, Beyond Technique, he says movement is a sign of life. Stiffness is a sign of sort of immortality.
Yeah.
So it's moving.
Yeah.
Don't keep, you know, don't stop, keep moving. I'm sure it's a song somewhere along the line. And you know, but it's true though, isn't it? You know, I mean, I'm 60, but I you know, I can still do karate.
Yeah.
You know, and lots of people go, how the hell do you do that? But you know, because I've always done it. You know, and some things I'm not as good at as I could do, but it doesn't matter because I can still do stuff.
Yeah.
Still, you know, I can give karate a fair go, and I enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
Rick Jackson's 10 years old. Rick Jackson's 10 years older than me. You know, he said the other day he used to have fantastic kicks.
Yeah.
Fantastic kicks now, but he can still kick.
Yeah.
And he's still undoubtedly a karate master. So I think it's really, I think maybe, like, I never did music. I wish I'd been a musician to some extent. But, you know, people who play the piano all their life bring some great joy and great happiness, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. One of the things that Ken Robinson was talking about was finding your passion. And and you know, like you were saying quite a lot of people say, oh, it's all right for you. It's all right for you. You found your passion, or even worse, it's all right for you. You're talented. And he was like, that's a really kind of defeatist way of looking at things, because everyone is talented and everyone has a passion. And what he was saying was, he was saying that it's a bit like a natural resource, like, you know, iron ore or coal or something, that you've got to go digging for and then refine it. And if you don't dig for it and if you don't refine it, you'll never get the true value of it. But everyone has that natural resource within them.
It's finding the right one.
Sorry?
It's finding the right one. I mean, you know, not everyone can be on Britain's Got Talent. Not everyone can be, you know, you need to find like what makes you itch again. You know, this is find something that suits you. So it's no good me going, I want to be a brain surgeon, because I've got no talent for brain surgery or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but I never underestimate the power of hard work. I'm sure, I remember the first time in the dojo, I was definitely the worst one because I'm dyslexic. He kept on going right hand, and I was, you know, I'm slightly cack-handed. I'm quite awkward anyway. I've always been a bit awkward. Now maybe that in karate terms, that's my talent now. Because, you know, I know it's true because I'm awkward. You know, I mean, I'm a pain in the arse, especially, you know. But I mean, that's just the way I am. But I've managed to harness that and make it. But that's just through work. You know, and certainly comedians. You know, I remember there's lots of people funnier than me in the pub. Couldn't do what I could do because I'd worked on it.
Yeah.
You know, it's easy to be funny in the pub with friends, but it's very hard to be funny with complete total strangers who pay £17.50 at the comedy shows to see you. Yeah.
Like one of the things he was talking about, this Ken Robinson, he was talking about I think one of the first books he was involved with, the editor. He was talking about the editor. You know, he was being very funny, and he was saying like she was kind of telling him how to write properly and stuff like that. But he got chatting to her, and he said to her, "So, how long you've been an editor?" And she was like, "Oh, about 6-7 years." And he said she was really, really good. He said, "Oh, what did you do before then?" She said, "Oh, I was a concert pianist."
Mm.
And he said, "Well, like, why have you quit that to do this?" And she said, like 6-7 years ago, whatever it was, she had just done a big concert on the South Bank in London, and she went for dinner afterwards with the director, and the director had said to her, "Tonight you were amazing. You're really on form. You did an incredible show." And she went, "All right, thanks very much." He says, "But I hope you don't mind me saying it, but it didn't look like you enjoyed yourself." And she's like, "Well, well, no, I don't really enjoy playing."
Right.
And he said to her, "Well, why are you doing it then?" And she thought, she was very, very talented at playing the piano, but didn't enjoy it. And so she finished off her tour, that contract, wherever she is, packed up, and she said, "Well, what am I passionate about?" And she was passionate about books and about kind of like found herself into the publishing industry and became an editor, and is now a really, really great editor. And obviously not earning as much money as she was when she was a concert pianist, but really happy. And so what he was saying was that most of the time, what you're passionate about is also what you're talented at. But actually, that's not always the case. Really, just find out what you're passionate about. And even if you're even if you have talents elsewhere that maybe have monetary value, it doesn't necessarily mean that you should follow the monetary value talent. Follow your passion, and then no matter what happens, at least you'll be happy.
Well, you see, that I basically fell out of love with comedy. I fell out of love with the comedy business, and so I still consider myself a comedian, but I don't think I'll do another professional show again.
Yeah.
May never say never, but I still think I'm a comedian. But
you'll be a comedian sense of
yeah,
that.
really. But the other thing is, also throughout the time of me being a comedian, all that time, I still did karate.
Yeah.
And I still trained. I still went. Oh, I still trained.
Yeah.
And I remember going to the Edinburgh Festival, and I used to run above the seat every day, back. And when I used to do 20-minute sets, I used to run for 20 minutes as fast as I could.
Yeah.
And then when I did hour sets, I'd sort of run for an hour. That was just sort of a weird sort of thing I did, but it made me feel very powerful.
Yeah.
Because it's just like I trained to do the physical set. So it's a good question.
Cool. Let's refill. I've refilled.
Cheers.
Cheers.
And edit.
Okay. So. Okay, your turn.
Okay, so on Sunday I did my second karate at home for Martin, and I sort of was dreading it, and then I did it, and I loved it. It was great.
Yeah,
and what I noticed was
really good.
Sorry.
It was good. It was really good.
I know. And I had 95 live people watching it.
That's great.
So Martin sent me a thing going, "Good number, Sam, in 95," and then I had people and I got lovely messages, and lovely from people from Tanzania and Indonesia and Leicester. It was just great. But then I suddenly thought, of course, these karate homes are brilliant. Everyone does it for free. So, to quote W.C. Fields, who never gives a sucker an even break, what's a fair price for a Zoom class?
Not $100.
Yeah, well, you see, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, it's because I did it for free, happily did it for free. But I know some people are charging like $100 for the day, and like other people are charging like 35 quid for a Zoom class.
Yeah, I think. Look, I'm not going to judge anyone. Well, obviously I just have, because I've just said $100 is too expensive for a weekend seminar. But there's lots of people. I think there's lots of karate instructors who I'm sure are under financial pressure at the moment, because I think for two reasons. First reason is that the ability to earn money to travel and teach has been taken away from them, and probably, you know, they've been not paying taxes in the way that they maybe should have paid taxes, and so they're not getting the compensation that the governments are generally paying in Europe. But like if you're in America and they're not paying anything, so you're screwed, right? So I get that there are people out there who are desperate, and when you're desperate, you make kind of desperate decisions. But I think, like, generally speaking, like, say for $100 for a weekend seminar is probably what you would pay for an in-person live seminar. And you'd probably, if it was a weekend, 2 hours on the Friday, 4 on the Saturday, 4 on the Sunday, so you're paying $100 for 10 hours training in person.
Which you're like as well. Plus that, one of the fun things of seminars is meeting lots of people and have socializing.
Yeah. And also the very real sense of getting kind of not only kind of, instruction within 3D, as in looking and seeing exactly what they're doing, but also kind of that reciprocated and getting tuition, getting kind of corrections, and also doing kind of partner work and actually trying to figure out. Anyway, there's a whole like, Zoom is great, Facebook Live is great as a substitute, but it's not the real thing.
I think it also has a limitation. I think an hour is enough.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
It's certainly enough for the instructor.
Yeah,
and I think an hour is maximum, really, with one instructor.
Yeah.
I like the ones you've done where you do like 2:45s are quite good. Yeah. The one you did with Sue, and you did one with Guy Brudia Sensei and Rick Jackson Sensei and you. Is that 3:45 minutes or? No,
so next weekend. We're doing on the Saturday we're doing there's me, Guy Sensei and Rick Sensei. Guy Sensei and I are doing karate for 40 minutes each, and then Rick Sensei is doing a guided meditation, and then the following day Takanoshita Sensei and me and I are doing again 2 40-minute 45-minute sessions. So it's an hour and a half, but like with breaks and everything it's about 4 minutes each. Like that's about, I think, maximum of what the students can concentrate on and focus on, but also B, that the instructors can teach a very good class within that time frame. You can maybe teach an hour by yourself. I've taught an hour and a half on Zoom, but like hard,
I mean, I was exhausted on Sunday.
Yeah.
At the Monday, I was knackered.
Yeah.
Because but then I suppose we talked about what's the hourly fee.
So, well, just to go back on that. Yeah. Just to go back, like I think Zoom is really, really difficult. Facebook Live is even more difficult.
Oh, well, Facebook Live, I pretended I could see people. I was doing that, going itchy. I mean, I did very little counting, but every now and again I needed a rest.
Yeah.
I said, right, have a go, itch these up,
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's really difficult. It's really, really tough. And to do it by yourself, I've done a couple as well, and I always have someone in the dojo with me, because I like to do it by yourself. Fair play to you. It's like, it's really, really difficult.
The kids class I did with George, which is so much easier, because I got injured.
Yeah.
But on my, it was really like, but I did enjoy it. It was like, doing a gig, really. But I just think, karate also is like, there's karate business, and there's sort of like, has a lot of baggage, doesn't it?
Like, well, so this is well, I'll give you a few horror stories, and then a few stories I've heard recently that I just think is really inappropriate. So I heard on Monday from a guy who's part of a different Japanese-based organization.
Yeah,
he was talking about they unlike the JKA and the JKS who and the SKIF who have kind of done things. This group didn't do anything. Didn't do anything for 6-7 months. The first 6-7 months of the lockdown and pandemic, blah blah blah. The Hombu Dojo didn't have any communication with the affiliates around the world. And then in September, so the chief instructor who would it's like it's kind of a single kind of like one guy who's basically
I've got you.
Who travels a lot, blah blah blah. And anyway, obviously he's not traveling, And so they decided that he was going to do a Zoom seminar.
Yeah.
And it was $25 for the seminar. But then they charged per person in the dojo training. So I know someone whose 2 children train as well. And they did the seminar with the instructor, and he had to pay $75 because his 2 children were in the dojo. And I think, you know, okay, so that like there's been a few horror stories about that, right? My understanding of just life is that we are, by definition, not the strongest species in the world. We're not the strongest, well, arguably the most intelligent, or not arguably, like in a very real sense, most intelligent, most perceptive, but like not the strongest. And so you could argue that like intelligence came afterwards. You know, after we started to learn how to eat a lot of more meat, our brain size developed, and that's when we developed intelligence. So what got us to the point where we could eat a lot of meat? What got us to the point where we evolved to the point where we could hunt animals who were stronger than us? That came from cooperation.
Yeah.
And as a kind of fairly vulnerable species, like our young or like kids are vulnerable for the first decade. That doesn't exist in the animal world at all. Kids, like, you know, very rarely would you have a vulnerable child in the nature because it'd be taken. But humans, 10, 15 years, they're useless, right? It's based on cooperation. The human species has survived and thrived based on cooperation. And for me, even in business and life and organizational skills and community and everything that you're involved in, it has to be based on cooperation. And these instructors aren't cooperating with their community. They're trying to screw them over and compensate for a situation that not only they face as professional instructors who can no longer travel, but everyone faces. Everyone's been affected by this pandemic. And so then go, well, I'm more affected than anybody else because I can't travel and teach. And like I've literally gone to my wall calendar and wet my thumb and wiped out thousands and thousands of euros worth of courses. But I do not think that I'm unique in that case, because everyone that every person I would have visited on those courses are still are the same thing.
Yeah, there's two things like this. It's also bad business.
Well, yeah.
Goodwill is really important. You can only treat people badly for so long. I mean, unfortunately, it seems quite a long time. It's like those people who make you pay for your grade that you've already taken.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, Netflix are never going to sort of email you and go, you know, how many people are watching Netflix with you tonight?
Yeah.
You know, do you know what I mean? It's always disappointing that people take it because there's a certain idolatry in karate, isn't there?
Yeah.
That's always been, you know,
well,
maybe one of the weaknesses of the karate.
It's the same type of people who do that also talk about the importance of loyalty. I never talk about loyalty. Do what you want. I don't care. Like I've had my heart broken many a time by people that I thought were my friends, but I never once said to them, "You should be loyal." So I don't. I think
I don't believe in should really either.
Yeah.
You know, should's not. I'd never use should at work at all. I would never say you should do this.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, it's a human condition, isn't it?
Yeah. But I think this. I think like all kind of important situations and important events in life, this has been a real eye opener for people.
Oh yeah.
The
times show that people's true colours.
Yeah, absolutely.
And from this, like I think Zoom and karate at home. God, how amazing is that?
Yeah.
I'm in my house and I'm teaching karate to people in Tanzania who send me a message going, "Thank you."
Yeah.
You know, great, isn't it? I had an angry face. I love it when I get an angry face. Somebody from Germany gave me an angry face. So yeah, that's good. Because Paul got 3. I said, Paul, you won. He got 3 angry faces. I think he was angry because I was teaching some Goju Ryu. I think that's right. It's when the big angry face came up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember what the question was now.
No, we've got 5 more minutes left. So do you want to,
right.
Last question?
All right, hang on. I'm going to pick the one that I want, the best one. Okay, so I, as a HDKI Q grading examiner person, where we've been in a great position is in the past couple of months, we've had 1, 2, 3 dojos have joined us, and they've all did Q grading examiner tests, and they're all great answers. But spirit first, technique second. How important is spirit in karate? I knew you'd like. They basically, a lot of the answers always started off with looking for the spirit of the student.
Well, okay. So I think spirit can be kind of interpreted in a few different ways, right? Yes. So for me, I interpret it as intention. And you know, spirit can be that gung-ho, jingoistic fight on the beaches, like let's do it, right? But spirit can also be interpreted as your inner self and your soul and your what is your kind of true nature. That's spirit as well. So spirit first, technique second, and also actually in Japanese as well. So this is not just like the interpretation of the English translation. This is interpretation of the Japanese as well. So and I'd argue that the Japanese is far more kind of going towards your inner self rather than kind of fighting spirit. And so I often find that people who kind of talk about spirit first, technique second, they're the ones who have terrible technique and just kind of like blunder their way through things. They're like technique, good technique, bad technique doesn't make any difference. Like, but intention is really important. And like Rick Houghton talks about this, you know, like put your intention first and let your technique wrap around that. Well, if you have intention, then your technique will never be bad. But if you just try to fight, you'll never have good technique. So for me, spirit first, technique second is really arguably one of the most important elements of karate. It's just that I think a lot of people misinterpret that.
It's the definition of spirit, isn't it?
It's the definition definition of spirit, and that spirit is not I'm a 6'5" guy kind of who is not scared of anybody because I'm bigger than 99.9% of the population. Spirit first is like is your intention, your kind of unbreakable intention to kind of move forward regardless, and allow that intention to be the path for your technique.
It's a little bit like, you know, when you teach people, and it's one of those old sort of jokes that, you know, like if you teach a woman something, she'll listen to you, she'll ask a question, and then she'll try it. If you teach a bloke, he won't really listen to you. He won't ask the question, he'll just try it and try it again and try it again and try it again and try it again. So I think it's an intelligent spirit, isn't it? Because I've always, you know, Kyokushinkai always interests me because they talk spirit first, technique second. And then, you know, again, you never argue with the Kyokushinkai stuff, but, you know, their kumite is like stupid. Yeah. There's no face punches, full contact body punches, full contact head punches, kicks, full contact leg kicks. It's like sadomasochistic. Yeah. And then you look at the kata, and again, all respect to Kyokushinkai people, the kata are horrible. Yeah. And they know it's the ideal karate for like knuckleheads, for people who want to look like broken nosed, big fisted karate people. Yeah. And it's like it's an empty road, isn't it? It's literally, when I went to the Kyokushinkai Nationals in London, Crystal Palace in the 80s, they called all the senior instructors out, and they all came up limping. None of them trained anymore. Yeah. So I suppose what I'm trying to do with the people who sent me these questions was going, I take kind of spirit as a given, but I'm not looking for that in a Q grade.
I mean, for Q grading, right? For Q grading, you're looking for specific. You're looking at the person, and you're quickly evaluating what is their physical potential,
Yes.
and you're looking for those kind of like kind of points that they've reached within that physical journey, within a Q grade syllabus, and I think you could then say, you know, within the kumite, you want to have an element of spirit, but not for the vast majority of kumite for Q grades. What go on kumite? Yeah, they're going to do that. Yeah, Kyo-Nippon kumite probably a little bit less so.
Down and punch into chew down.
Yeah, yeah.
Counted to be on target.
Yeah, but I just like, because I've talked about it a lot, and like I've probably talked about it in these talks, but you know, like when someone does a Shodan examination, and okay, the first movement, okay, everybody left leg forward, Girambarai Kamite, and they do it, and like probably with a 95% accuracy, you'll go, oh, yeah, pass, fail, no chance, fail, pass. You know, you can do that, right? And what you're really doing there is judging spirit.
Yeah, you see, that's what I was going to say. You're not judging making shapes or posture, are you? Because it should radiate from you.
Yeah, absolutely. And radiate is the exact word.
Yeah,
like, the spirit, their intention is radiating out. But I just suspect that people who say spirit first, technique second, aren't talking about the radiation of intention.
No. I remember Ota saying to me, was Ota Hasaguchi when I first came to Marshall Street, HDKI going, ah! And he used to laugh at me and go, don't pull face.
Yeah.
You know, and I think I've got pictures of me somewhere doing karate in the early days, and I'm like, really like pulling that face. And then you see that in that lots of stuff, isn't it? It's like an emotional thing. And your face should be neutral.
It's
like you don't need to be neutral. Everything should be neutral, but you don't need to be going, ah!
Aiden Trimble Sensei talked about, you know, he was in that competition. I can't remember which one it was, but he was in maybe the SKI GB finals, and he did so chin, and he was that tense. He got right to that point of the first move, and his nose started to bleed because he was that tense.
I had an embolism, and I won. You know, I think that's maybe a Western thing, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
It's posturing and showing, you know, because I think we find it very hard to sort of be understated.
No, but I think I don't think that's entirely true. I think it's a Western interpretation of Japanese kind of.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Type thing. But in the West, we have that stiff upper lip.
Yes.
Just it is what it is. Just get on with it, and that's true spirit.
No, I mean, I'm a big fan of the Corinthian spirit. You know, fair play, never complaining, doing things right, being an honest guy. I mean, and Jigoro Kano, when he took up judo, he was very much influenced by that spirit.
Yeah, but like I would say that spirit and the Japanese spirit of gaman, gaman is like endurance. Like it's exactly the same. But this West interpretation of the Japanese gaman, I think, is kind of kamikaze type thing. Yeah. That's not what it is at all.
Much more understated, isn't
it? Yeah, completely. Yeah, completely. It's like, you know, like it's like the duck or the swan, you know.
That's what it was. I mean, I use that thing
underneath, you know. Yeah, absolutely.
And I think if you look at sort of I don't know, Mac dojos as they call them, or crap dojos, they're very good on the superficial stuff.
Yeah.
You know, they like flags and badges and say written here, and you know, I don't know. It's much. I mean, it's on the outside.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
So. Do you want to do one more, or are we done?
Okay, go on then. One more. One quick one.
Okay, hang on. Oh, wait. Well, I tell you what. Should we just do a quick one?
Okay.
This. Oh, yeah. Okay, I'll do this one. I'll save the other one for later on. Can you tell me, female karateka who have impressed you? Is that a good question?
Female karateka.
Women didn't do karate.
Say again.
And when I started karate in the 70s, and very few women did karate.
Yeah.
And you know, the world's changed, which is great. And I found myself more and more impressed by female karateka as the years have gone by. Some of the most serious people now. I don't know, but can we? Do you want to do that one? Do you want to just give us some examples of female coaches?
Like when I was a kid, when I was going through the grades, one of so my instructor, Howard Milson, like he had an assistant instructor, Shirley. She was a Nidan, I think, at the time. She was as tough as anything. Like quite like very attractive. I mean, I was only 11, like 12, 13, whatever. But I remember thinking she's really attractive. She was very attractive and kind of very switched on and very sharp, very good kumite, a really strong karate. She was very impressive. So right from the day one, when I started karate properly, I was kind of being taught by women. She was great, really good. And then coming through the grades, when I was like brown belt, Shodan, Anne Hastings.
Yeah, I know her. Yeah.
So Anne used to train a lot with Kato Sensei at the time, and so she would always be on the courses, and she was really good. And I remember seeing her do Yokogeri Kiyagi, and thinking, I want to do Yokogeri Kiyagi like that.
That's where you want to be a good role model,
yeah. And so she was really good. Like in Japan, not so much. Although, like subsequently, Okamoto in Japan and Watanabe, really good karate girls. They were really good.
Yakamura was good.
Say again?
Yakamura Yoko. She did the instructor's course the same time as Naka and Tamon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I saw her in Crystal Palace do possibly like the best Goju show I've ever seen.
Really?
Just absolutely fantastic. And I think she won the World Championships the year after whatever the next one after that.
Yeah.
She was good.
Yeah. And I think now, like people like Chrissy Howard, like just it's like so solid, absolutely solid kind of karateka, kind of like wealth of knowledge and depth, like super impressive.
I mean, in the 70s, there was no occasionally a woman would train, and I was like 14 or 15. I remember doing Gohon Kumite with her. I'd been really embarrassed.
Yeah.
But then when I went to, as the years passed a bit, there was a woman called Yvonne Lovelady at Kirkdale, and she was great at Kumite. She punched me in the head. And that was the first time I'd ever sort of, I thought, oh God, hang on, I can't, this is proper.
Yeah.
And she was really good. And then went to Marshall Street, and Marjo, who was my senpai, first time we did Gohon Kumite, and she said, if you don't try and hit me properly, I'm going to punch you in the face. And I thought, oh, and like, she's been my friend from that day. And there was this woman called Sue Warman, also at Marshall Street, who just trained every class.
Really?
She was like quite scary. She was quite. And one day because I trained a lot, she goes, why didn't you come on Tuesdays? I said, well, beginners class. She goes, yeah, we'll go. And then we were going on a Tuesday night. Thinking, why would I go? I can do Agiyuki. I'm like, but no, that's what you think in them days.
Yeah.
It was so serious. And she got a sign down there in the JKA. And she famously did Kumite with Tanaka. And Tanaka did Kumite with it. And he taped a big sort of sponge on his hand. And then he punched. But she, I think one of the best things about karate now is I'm continually impressed by the dedication of female karate.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is the this period here, last since Palmer passed away, is the first time that
Palmer was brilliant, wasn't he?
Yeah, Palmer was fantastic. Yeah, I mean, Palmer was like.
She had that annoying switch. She had that switch to be a bit rubbish and turned it on and go, oh.
Yeah, like we would always do. I'd always play this game when we were like in morning training, and she'd be kind of just faffing about and all that kind of stuff, and just getting scored on and okay, whatever, and I'd say okay, last 30 seconds, whoever first score wins, and she'd whoever she was with, she'd just do them. Finished. I'm finished. She was.
I actually think that switch is kind of really important in karate.
Yeah. She was amazing. So I mean, I didn't mention Palmer, but Palmer was amazing.
I mean, Palmer was a great example.
but like since Pom passed away, like it's the first time that I haven't had a female instructor in the dojo. So
Yeah,
like,
someone's coming through though, aren't they?
say again.
But someone's coming through.
Yeah, young Caitlin, she'll be finished.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have some really good like female, like Georgia has been teaching. She's at university now, but she's been teaching at the dojo, assisting for the last couple of years, and like, so I suppose actually since Pom passed away, we did have Georgia. So ultimately, what I'm trying to say is that, like, apart from like last couple of years, and although we've had Georgia teaching, we've always had a female instructor, full-time female instructor in the dojo since almost day one. And so, yeah, they've all been impressive, So I hope that I can understand in the past, and like I said, like listening to Chrissy and how it was kind of just, it was taken for granted that she was a girl, therefore she couldn't do X, Y, Z. And so you've got the people of, like, because we're the same age, you've got that generation our generation who those female instructors haven't got to the position that I've been able to get to because they just presumed that they couldn't do it. And
well, so one who's a good friend of ours who calls herself the tea lady.
Yeah.
Because she their meetings and they ask her to make the cup of tea, and she does.
Yeah, absolutely.
And say, tell them no.
Yeah.
You bloody tea.
Yeah. So I just hope that the next generation, this generation now, and like Caitlin or George's generation, that they will not have the same.
Well, it will in the HDKI, undoubtedly.
Yeah.
It might not be the same in some, Japanese organisations.
Well, no, to be fair though, the JKS have had two girls, two ladies go through the instructors.
Remember Watanabe? She was great. She happened to be Diwunsu in Okinawa.
Yeah, unbelievable.
And she was great, isn't she?
Yeah, absolutely. So at least they're doing yeah. So, okay, well, on that positive note of diversity.
Diversity, brothers and sisters. Oh, no. Cheers.
Oh, so
hang on. Oh, thank you, Sensei.
thank you.
Champagne and chat at New Year.
Yeah. So so two things.
Yep.
The next weekend.
Oh yeah.
Guy Broda Sensei, Rick Jackson Sensei, Takaroshita Sensei, Shinichiro Sensei, and me.
Us.
A weekend seminar, €25 for the whole weekend. I hope people will come. I think there's not that many places left, so but like it's worth mentioning. And also,
can I just plug that personally by saying, well, Rick Jackson Sensei is very inspiring. Takaroshita Sensei is like our friend now, and he's super fast, super modest, and it's probably the first time he's ever done it.
Yeah,
and
first time,
he's great.
The first time he's ever taught in English, first time he's ever done a Zoom class. But I will be there to hold his hand and to make sure that he's doing well and translate if need be. But I'm sure he'll do fine. And
guy in Japan, isn't he?
Yeah, and Guy Sensei will be great. But that's great. And also, I'm putting out videos for Bujin TV constantly. Just did another one, Sochin, yesterday. And at the moment, all HDKI members get 1 month free.
I'm going to do that now because I've been so busy at work I haven't done it.
Okay.
And I know Scott Sensei's on it, and I know also a guy called Paul Enfield, who I know from Goju-Ryu, who is a personal student of Higawana Sensei, who is my go-to Goju guy. I'd recommend him. And there's going to be a load of interesting Okinawan stuff that James has found. So
I think Paolo Balafio is coming onto it as well.
Oh, okay. I'm going to do that after this interaction.
It's good. It is good. So,
okay. One more thing can I say, because we might not do one for the next 2 weeks or so, Chrissy Howard and HDKI are sponsoring Fair Fight. She is doing a seminar on the November the 15th, I think. No, is it the 15th? No, it's not the 15th. Well, when's yours?
21st, 22nd.
Right. Okay. The week before that, she's doing that, and she's doing that with me, Paula, and Sensei Becky, and Chrissy, and all profits will go to. It's donations as you want. all profits will go to First Bite. And we've raised over 600 quid already.
That's great. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay. Us.
Us, thank you.
Us.
Kampai.
Goodbye.